We are in the third and final round. Mass migration crisis, and it may get worse. I don't think this wave can stop, said Sonia Licht of the International Center for Democratic Transition. The global north must be prepared that the global south is on the move, the entire global south. This is not just a problem for Europe, but for the whole world. Oh, out of the Middle East, war-torn Middle East, refugees are streaming into Europe. And from there, they're streaming into the United States. The southern border is where most of them cross, right? The south is pushing in to the north. I was amazed when I realized what the recent definition was of the global south. You might think it's south of the equator. No. There's an economist that came up with a term called BRICS. There's a group of nations that are trying to put together a currency group where they trade in something other than dollars. And he came up with the name BRICS for Brazil, Russia, China, Iran, and their friends.
That's interesting.
They are also interchangeably called the global south. Anybody want to tell me where Russia and China are?
They're east.
They're definitely in the northern hemisphere.
Yeah, in the northern
Russia and China go way up into the northern hemisphere. But they're considered the global south. In my last presentation, I showed you how the radical left, Marxist socialism, has united with radical Islam.
Now, wait a minute.
We gotta go back to school.
Now, okay.
Oh man.
Okay. So, all right. So
by
again,
south,
so
south he means the economic south.
right. So now he's gonna further
Yeah.
he'll further explain. But again, we do this thing where we see how reality confirms Bible prophecy.
Yeah.
So, all right, we all believe as Adventists, using historical, the historicist method of interpretation, that the mark of the beast is Sunday legislation, right? But then we can actually go to the Catholic catechisms and see where they say Sunday is a mark of their authority, confirming what the Bible is saying, right? So is this, I'm just saying, is this another example of, wait a minute, all those countries he mentioned, they're considered the global south? What? I'm just asking questions. Could that be another instance where, once again, it's backing up with the prophecy, saying, go ahead, Oleg.
No, I was just saying that you know, that by south he doesn't mean obviously, you know, in the hemispheres as he mentioned, but he's talking about both in terms of economic and political power. The reason that they have an alliance is because they are not as strong as what would be considered the global north, right? And this is just an aside, right? This is just an aside. That I'm not saying that the global north is righteous by any means, but what I'm saying is that the principles of Protestantism that the global north has embraced has directly led to its prosperity. So that's the dichotomy of the global north, the global south. It's the principles that are being embraced, and it's those principles that are at war. And it is a fight to the death for the bodies, the minds, and the souls of every single 8.4 billion people on this planet.
Agreed.
Huge.
Agreed.
Against the Christian world. And so the South is pushing on the North in many ways. And during his election, Donald Trump was asked, what about radical Islam? He said,
pause for just 1 second. somebody made a comment, and it just brought something to mind. If you look at the map of ancient Israel, and this is just an observation, and you have to track with as we're trying to understand Daniel chapter 11, and certainly as it touches Revelation 11:13. I think what we need to look at as well is, just as Israel fractured, right, into the northern kingdom, the southern kingdom, the same thing is happening within Adventism, right? So that king of the north, king of the south dynamic is happening within Adventism as well, right? And let me put Adventism as quote. I mean, by Adventism, I mean, of course, within our denomination, right? Where there are those who are aligning with what they would view as king of the north, kind of conservative, evangelicalism. There are those who are aligning with radical Islam and you could say the radical left, right? And so you see that fracture as well, which is quite interesting, and I think that we have to ask ourselves, where should we stand? Because when the children of Israel asked for a king, if you look at Daniel chapter 2, the imperial Rome fractures into 10 kingdoms, right? So human kingdoms always fracture. You look at Israel, when they ask for a king, a human being to be their king, the kingdom fractures into north and south. So I think that it shouldn't be, I think it should be clear for us to see that I think what Brother Tim is presenting, I think it holds up, that you see that even within ancient Israel, you see a king of the north, king of the south dynamic at play there as well. Messiah, of course, comes through Judah, of course, the southern kingdom, but Messiah is the true king of course, the universe.
Amen. Amen.
The point is, they want to do serious harm. We have to take them out. We have to take them out very, very swiftly and viciously if necessary. We've got to destroy the brand of jihad. And Daniel says Egypt and many, radical Islam, will be overthrown. Oh, that was exactly what he had in mind, but he didn't finish the job. He or somebody like him will come back in to finish the job. We've already been given a glimpse of what might happen. During his inauguration, he said, "We will reinforce old alliances and form new ones." Who was it Trump was forming new alliances with? The Abrahamic Accord people, moderate Muslims that he could get to sign up to fight against radical Islam for him. Daniel has that split between radical Islam and moderate Islam. Trump was forging that division. And unite the civilized world against radical Islamic terrorism, which we will eradicate completely from the face of the earth. And someday, according to the prophecy, it will happen.
Wow.
Then Trump said he was going to move the embassy to Jerusalem, the U.S. embassy, and recognize Jerusalem as the capital of Israel. Okay. What do you think that's going to do to Muslims who want to make that their global capital? It is going to set them off. Notice, 6 days later, there's a meeting in Turkey of people who are really, really upset about it. They're all the Islamists that want to make Jerusalem their world capital. This gets said. Soleimani, commander of the Al-Quds force, says his nation is ready to support Palestinian forces in the Gaza Strip days after the U.S. recognized Jerusalem as Israel's capital. What is the Muslim name for Jerusalem? Al-Quds. Soleimani is commander of the Iranian Al-Quds Force, their special forces that are named after Jerusalem. Implication? They're training and preparing to conquer Jerusalem. Get a little idea why Israel does not like Iran, especially since the leaders keep saying they're going to wipe Israel off the face of the map. They've said that many times in the last couple of days. But get this, the Iranians are Shiite Muslims and the Palestinians are Sunni Muslims. They normally fight against each other. But when Trump said he was going to recognize Jerusalem as the capital, the Iranians said, we're going to arm them. Anybody know where the weapons and arms came from to attack Israel? Iran. Largely from Iran. Now, this was no bluff. And Soleimani is the commander of the Al-Quds Force, the second most powerful man in Iran at the time. Here's a picture of him. This is an Iranian propaganda picture. I've collected several of them over the years. He's holding a radio in his hand. He's calling in a strike on the White House. Bombs going off, the U.S. flag is falling, and a little bit of English over here you can read says, "We will crush the USA under our feet."
Oh, man.
Anybody know who lived in the second story of the White House at that time?
That's crazy.
Donald Trump. Look at his windows. It's a direct hit on his living quarters. Smoke is blasting out of the windows.
Wow.
What do you know about Donald Trump? If you threaten him, will he tend to remember?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. How do you like to be Soleimani? Then I got a really good explanation of what a radical and a moderate Muslim is. Mohammed bin Salman, Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, gave it. He was talking about this in two different articles, and I'm just one from the truth.
All right. So that might be enough teaser
Oh, man.
for tonight. There's a lot more.
We gotta go.
Just in this presentation, but that's an appetizer, if you will.
This demands a whole. We have to sit through the whole series here.
Yeah.
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 So that goes my next Bible study. You know, here's the good news. I met somebody at the Liberty and Health Alliance MAGA clinic. And Mega clinic, not MAGA. Anyway. You get that correct.
Oh boy, they're gonna clip you. They're gonna clip you.
Yeah, somebody's gonna make a whole video about this one. You know, and the person was telling me, Tim, Rosenberg has been through a lot for these views. Been canceled, has been pushed aside. We don't want to mention the people's name, but he hasn't been treated with the most respect for this view, because it's a school of thought that Adventism has not considered and don't want to consider. And I don't think anybody should be persecuted for having a different school of interpretation on certain prophecies, because it's not false doctrine per se. It's just a school of thought. I think that we have to put a difference between that. But nevertheless, the individual that I met and spoke to me about this says, you need to invite Tim to your channel. And I'm like, okay, I'll think about that. And I just left it aside until you brought it up again.
Yeah.
And, you know, I didn't even realize I got this brother's number on my phone.
Oh, wow.
I just typed it up. Yes, the lady that I spoke to gave me Tim's number. I'm like, I got so many people's numbers when I was there for interviews and testimonies and stuff in different ministries.
Oh, that's hilarious, man.
That's hilarious. So
I have his number too.
He is one phone call away. So look out. Tim is coming to Advent Media one of these days. And but I thank him for what he just shared here with Soleimani.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
how that story ended. But I didn't see those parallels.
Yeah, I'm gonna reach out to him. Yeah, after this. Well,
Yeah, there
tomorrow.
were so many other thoughts going through my mind. Oh, here's my one inquisitive thought. Hey, what about Israel in all of this?
Mm.
Because when we say the king of the south pushed at him, and the king of the north shall come against him. So we place Israel with the king of the south, since they're being supported by and used to a degree by the king of the king of the north.
Mm-hmm.
Israel will be. So what if the war that is brewing right now is some what if Iran attacks Israel so bad that angers the king of the north, and then the United States back up the king of the north, and that's the second push that eradicates the king of the south.
Yeah, I think.
I'm thinking there has to be a reason for a
Yeah,
major push.
yeah.
I'm looking for what that reason could be.
Well, I think that's. It seems that's what could be brewing right now.
Mm.
And like I said, we have to go deeper into his presentations, or by God's grace, he comes on the channel. He can lay all of that because he's done the research. It's hard to know all that's happening if you're just watching the news, because they're not reporting all the different angles and perspectives and all that's taking place. And so something would. Now here's what I picked up from his presentation. Whereas right now the central figure would be Israel, it seems that what he's presenting is like, yeah, Islam or radical Islam doesn't like Israel, but they very much view the papacy as the what you call it, the villain, if you will. And especially because the papacy in the West back Israel. So whereas, yeah, they don't like Israel, but the reason why Israel can even do what it's doing is because of the backing of the West, and that would include the papacy. And so I've heard other views where it's like, hey, what's going to start this final conflict is radical Islam is going to make some attack on the papacy directly. But I'm wondering, is that even necessary for the king in the north to respond? Is that even necessary? What if it's an attack on America? What if it's an attack on a major attack? I mean, there are attacks now, but a major attack on Israel to get the king in the north to respond. So I don't know if it has to be a direct attack to the papacy or just an attack on the West in general. I don't know.
All right.
I was having this conversation with my oldest son, and I have to give him some props in that. In our conversation, we were talking about just sort of the I think just the king of the north, king of the south, that dynamic, and he thought that Islam actually had to be taken out of the way in order for the new world order to
Yes,
actually take place.
I agree.
And I argued. I was like, man, I was like, no, that's not necessary. But now, having watched this presentation,
Yeah.
I think he was onto something.
You know, whether you're Rick, to take it historically and see how we can apply it to current modern issues. In Second Thessalonians, we are told at the rise of the papacy,
Yes.
he that leadeth shall be led until it is taken out of the way.
Yes.
And we knew this to be pagan Rome. And as long as pagan Rome existed, papal Rome could not be established. So when the Caesars were gone and handed down the key to the priest of Rome, then Rome was established, and then we had the Justinian Code and so on in 538 AD, which established them as both ecclesiastical power, civil powers, as well as religious power as well. So could it be there might be another application to that prophecy? Could it be in order for Rome to once again be recognized in the world stage, it has to get rid of these things, right? It has to get rid of the Heruli, Ostrogoths, and the Vandals, as it did then.
Yes.
Even if you look at in 1992, with the fall of the Berlin Wall, pretty much this was a massive blow to communism.
Yes.
It's never been a system. Yeah, it exists. Vestiges of it exist in different, nations and so on. But as an institution today, it's not really the case. But there is still some stuff that we have to still wrestle with. But nevertheless, what built the relationship with the United States and Rome to where we now have a Catholic Pope, we've had Catholic presidents and so on. Wasn't it the fall of the Berlin Wall and the union of John Paul II as well as Ronald Reagan that kind of opened the heart of the United States to say, Rome has changed, as some of our men are saying today as well. Rome has changed because they've helped to conquer communism. So I'm looking at it and say, maybe they have to do another conquering, and maybe Islam is what we're looking at. They have to conquer in order to gain the trust and confidence, and then be reestablished in his formal power. And that conquering seems to be this war that's brewing is going to open the door for that. So anyway, these are the thoughts I'm having.